On February 5, 2013, the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Energy and Power held a 2-hour and 57-minute hearing on North America's energy resources, but we're going to give it to you in a little over 5 minutes. The committee background memo set the stage for the hearing by noting that for decades, the United States has had a belief that it faced an energy scarcity problem and has set its policies in line with that belief. Today, however, we're in the middle of an energy boom and government policy needs to keep up. Members on both sides of the aisle took note of natural gas's role in that boom.
In January 2007, a CEO of one of our largest utility companies made the comment that that we were running out of natural gas. And then, of course, we know what has happened. We've had all sorts of new discoveries.
Thanks to American ingenuity and advanced technologies, the trends in domestic oil and natural gas production have in fact been turned upside down.
With the miracle of hydraulic fracturing, we have unleashed a drilling and production revolution in this country.
And U.S. natural gas production will increase by 44% by 2040.
We're unlocking new resources of natural gas, which is helping to limit the use of polluting coal and to increase the competitiveness of our domestic industries.
They had a witness from a left-leaning think tank.
To avoid the most serious climate change impacts, our energy policy must drive low-carbon technologies forward now.
They had a witness from a right-leaning think tank.
We no longer question whether we have the resources. Rather, we question whether we will be able to develop them, and thus reap the nationwide economic benefits such development would foster.
They brought in the leading government statistician.
U.S. dry natural gas production has increased consistently since 2005, mainly because of production of shale gas resources.
A top energy consultant.
Due to technology advancements, the U.S. natural gas and oil resource base is now widely seen as large and diverse.
But the unquestioned star of the show is leading energy consultant, historian, author, all-around energy expert Daniel Yergin.
Although great advance has been made in solar and wind, I talk about them in the quest as the rebirth of renewables. Those are really innovations from the last century. In terms of this century, what's happening in oil and gas is the biggest energy innovation so far of the 21st century.
Dr. Yergin put his finger on the top issue for the hearing and found a mostly receptive audience.
But what gets the most attention right now is the question of whether we're going to become an exporter of LNG, liquefied natural gas. Our view, similar to others, is that the market in the U.S. is demand constrained, not supply constrained. I think for decades the United States has made the free flow of energy supplies one of the cornerstone principles of our foreign policy. It is a principle we've urged on many other nations. Do you see LNG for export radically changing the price structure for natural gas?
No, we don't see LNG exports as having a major impact on price.
I represent an area that's heavy in chemical industry who's concerned about the rise in natural gas prices, but I also know that when I drive through South Texas and I see so much flaring of the dry gas because we don't either have the capacity or the infrastructure or the customers for it, it's just such a waste.
This whole debate on slowing down or not exporting natural gas I find pretty problematic, as natural gas is just a basic commodity product, just like corn or beans or pork or anything else.
I had lunch with the Indian Council General in Houston a couple weeks ago. We spoke for 20 minutes about India getting U.S. compressed LNG.
Today, with respect to LNG exports, we have a delineation about DOE's authority, whether we're going to transport this to a free trade agreement country or a non-free trade agreement country. I guess this is for anyone on the panel. Is there any reason for that demarcation to continue to exist?
I think it's an artifact.
One congressman did criticize exports, and in particular the data being used to approve export applications.
The data we're talking about is like a Frankie Avalon record, except it only took 3 years to turn it into completely outdated information.
The biggest point of contention was the federal government's role in the energy boom.
And the president will go around saying production's never been higher. And yet you actually look in some of his policies that have shut production off on federal land.
private and state lands over the past 5 years has increased, is essentially 96% of the total production that we've gotten. It takes over 300 days to now get a permit to drill on federal lands, where in the states it's less than 30 days.
But some say the boom on state land is just a coincidence.
I want to put a map up on the screen. The dark red that you see is where there's an overlap of federal lands and oil and gas shale plays. Basically, the shale resource basins are largely outside of the federal lands, so too is the shale production.
We heard a plug for more natural gas in vehicles.
I am one of those that feels that expanding natural gas into vehicles will help our country.
And we heard about some infrastructure challenges.
Part of the North Dakota play is the problem is we don't have access to a pipeline, so a lot of this North Dakota oil is being inefficiently trucked down versus through pipelines.
And those are the highlights. Please like, subscribe, and visit our website for a full summary of this hearing and other information.